Hello, Robert. Hi, Stacy. Well, it wasn't so much the rest. I do have to apologize, I guess. I was kind of cranky, and it's kind of frustrating with this, I don't know, delay. It's just so frustrating. All right, thank you, Stacy. All right, I think there's a few people that come here that really are not up to par with reading. I know Stacy and Robert, you are, to a certain point. And a lot of drummers say, what do I have to learn how to read? Buddy Rich didn't learn how to read. You know, it's not about that, whoever didn't learn how to read or who did learn how to read. Reading is so you understand the rhythms better, how they're broken down. You go out and buy all these mythology books, and if you don't know how to read, what's the sense? Nah, it's not the coffee. I'm not on edge. It's just that the question, I happen to think that, the questions that were given to me, I couldn't understand them. And I'm more or less frustrated, not at anybody here, but for example, when Paul asked me the question, I didn't know what he was talking about. And I gently asked him, what does that mean? And I just got very confused. And it's me who's aggravated, nobody else. Nobody's aggravating me but the web. There's nothing wrong with the coffee. I drink almost 3 pots of coffee a day. I sleep like a baby at night, so that's not a problem. All right, the dotted notes are not a nightmare, Stacy. They're part of the language. Hey, who is this? Don P. Don P. Who might you be? Is that Don Perlman? I hope so. Old dog, how are you? Now I'm going to say one more time, I do apologize. Now, what I have to do, I believe, with some of you, is to sharpen the reading skills. And I think we're going to start that. Hey, Don Perlman. All right, everybody, we have a special guest in the house, Don Perlman. Good friend of mine. And good musician. Very helpful to me. Dennis, hello, just the guy I want to see. Hi, OD, old dog, okay. All right, Dennis, we have to get the reading skills up to par. And it's actually my fault with you people because, I always say, because a teacher should never assume anything. And I did. Hi, Jimmy. No, we didn't miss you, Jimmy. Okay, I'm only kidding. Don is a very, very good friend of mine. He's on the East Coast as well. All right, it's actually my fault because I assume that everybody's basically that comes here is on the same level of reading, okay? And that's my fault. It's not one else's, and I get frustrated because I'm trying to teach something, don't understand the question, and the lag drives me cuckoo. So anyway, I'm going to show you what we have in the stick control book, the syncopation book. Now, I don't have the jacket on this guy. This is, I don't know if we're going to have the same the same release, but just for one of you guys, can you turn to page 14? Page 14. Could you guys tell me in the syncopation book if you have page 14? I want to see if we have the same edition. There's actually 1, 2, 3 editions. The third one they really screwed up. So please get on page 14. Somebody. Dennis. You have the syncopation book, Dennis? Now again, you know, well, why do I have to learn how to read? Buddy Rich didn't know how to read. Gene Krupa didn't know how to read. Okay? Scott. All right, well, can you get on page 14 so we can see if we have the same publication? So when somebody has page 14, please, you're on it. Okay, Dennis, page 14. It has an eighth note triplet and 3/4 notes. Is that what you have? 1 and 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's it. Number 14. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I don't know if it's lesson 6. You have the other version. I have the original version here. I couldn't find the other one. So, I apologize. So if you do have an eighth note triplet, okay, Dennis, you have it. That's it. Stacy, it's 1 eighth note triplet and 3/4 notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and got it, Stacy? Now, you have the syncopation formulas. And by the way, Don, you know, email me or do something. I want to send, please send me your address. I want to send you 2 copies. Okay, I have all of the versions. The last edition, but they really screwed it up. They're putting Neil Peart in there, Vinnie Colaiuta, Steve Gadd. I mean, that's for to sell the book. You know, Steve Gadd plays this, or Neil Peart plays that, blah, blah, and all that good stuff. It's just, okay. Now, if you have the PDFs out, I want to show you how to proofread where is it? Where do I want to go? Okay. If you have the book, which you don't have mostly because I mailed them all out yesterday, you have a PDF. If you can get the PDF for page 59. So, thank you, Jimmy. But Don and I have been friends for years now. Okay? Now, Scott, you don't have the PDFs, nor do you have the book, correct? So if you want to purchase the book or PDFs, email me and we'll work it out, okay? Now, Don just made a statement. Buddy had someone to read down his charge for him, which I agree. But Buddy was just talented. He'd hear it one time and play it. All right. Now, please, if you have the PDFs, which you should have, I was kind enough to send them to everybody here. All right, so you have them before you get the book so we can work on it. So if you could print out page 59 or get it on, get it on the computer. All right, you have the read book, so we're going to work out the read book, okay? Now, please, when you guys are on page 59 on the syncopation formulas, speak up. Por favor. Because I'm not going to continually repeat the lesson. A lot of you are not sure, okay, of how the notation falls. That's all. Don, you're absolutely correct. You got it, page 59, Hoist. Okay. I want to wait for a few other people. All right, if you have page 59, all right, you have on the first line 2 measures. Okay, you have the melodic figure, I call it. You have an 8th note triplet, you have 3/4 notes. So now, I'm playing this swung. It's actually 1 and 2, 3, 4. But now you want to see if you have it correct. So you don't know how to play that, for example. You're not sure. So the way to figure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, if you want to make sure you're correct, okay, go to the next measure. Now, I presented it as a exercise, but forget that. Just make the count 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and play just the accents for now. That's the proofread. What you're not sure of on the first measure. So you have 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and so the accents. Thank you, Don. The accents are telling you how the pattern goes. Do we understand that? You follow that? Line 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I go to the next measure. It was presented to you as an exercise, like 1, 2, 3 with the levels. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You got it? Now, the way like I'm trying to tell you, if you're not certain of the figure, it's right there. The second measure of that line, or the second measure of any line, is telling you what's right or wrong. You're proofing to yourself which is the right one. Example, number 5. Okay, let me turn this down. Number 5. You have a set of 2 8th note triplets and 2 quarter notes. Again, it's swung, so the and of the triplet you don't play. So we're playing line 5. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and oh, that sounds terrible. Sorry. Line 5. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and so you don't understand that, how to read that mathematically. Okay, so you say, okay, I'm on line 5. Go to the second measure of line 5 and just play the accents. That's proofing line 5, the first measure. That's making sure that you have it right. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and You understand, Dennis? Mr. Mante, do you understand? Scott, you have the same version of the syncopation book as I do. I have that one on hand. Does everybody understand what I just did? Well, yeah, you can play the bass on 1, 2, 3, 4. What you're going to do is work these out first on the drum pad, okay? All right, and then, yeah, you play your foot because you don't have a pedal, and you just tap your foot on the floor. So you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a different feel when you get to the drum set because now you really have to work the 1, 2, 3, 4 with the bass drum. But yes, you're going to do it slow. For example, if I never read that before and I'm on line 5, I'm going to go, okay, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the. That is the figure. And you say, gee, did I play that right? Well, proofread it. Go to the second measure of line 5 and just play the accents. Don't play the exercise. That's a separate thing now. That's a hand exercise. Eliminate that. And just for now, this is just how you proofread. So we got line 5 and we got 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4. Do we all understand that? It's throughout the book. 100%, senor. Dennis, you don't speak Spanish to me. Okay, so now what I put together, hopefully maybe by tomorrow afternoon, we're going to do a lot of reading. And I'm giving you an example of how to proofread it, okay? And you will get the same thing with the PDF sheets. And remember what I did say, if you buy the books and everything, and for the lesson, beside the book, there will be supplementary PDFs for that particular day of lessons. Okay, what do we have, Scott? Filling in the subdivisions between the written note is in order to check your timing and note placement. Good way to prove it. Well, that's a good way, Scott. But what I'm trying to do, you might have some really great reading skills. I don't know actually who you might be, or I never heard you play, or I don't know what your background is. But I'm not going to be condescending, so I'm going to agree with that. That's a good way. But if the way I present it here in the syncopation formulas is foolproof. You have the line. Don't play it as the exercise, the second measure, just play the accents. And that gives you the line. If, I made a mistake. Let me fix it. So you're getting that experience of making it right. Now, most of the stuff that's in Ted Reed's book is in his book. Most of it. All right, so do you understand what I'm talking about? We're going to go back to the syncopation book. Okie doke. And we're going to hit, all right, let's hit something simple. In my book, it's page 24. I'm looking around for the other book. It should be around someplace, probably under everything. And I'm not going to get up. Anyway, would you believe I had 15 copies of this book before I went to the post office yesterday? I'm all out. I have to get some more printed up, which I think for me is good. Okay, so in my edition, I'm on page 24. All right, the first measure is 2/16 and an eighth. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Well, that has nothing to do with the swing, Dennis. You are playing the figure to swing. The accent is the figure. So it doesn't lose no swing, it is swung. Okay? Everybody tell me when they get to this page. In my book, it's 24, and Mr. Valero was kind enough to tell me, well, that's probably page 26 in the other edition. I don't know. So if he would like to help me out again, that would be very nice. Okay, now I'm on page 24 in this book, and you have the first measure is 2/16 and the rest of the notation is in eighths. So I have 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Do we all have that? Now, filling in the subdivisions is fine, but in order for them to fill in the subdivisions, Mr. Valero, they need to understand how to read it first. That's what I'm trying to get to. But I absolutely agree with you. That's another way to foolproof it. All right. Everybody have that page? 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Now I'm playing that in 16th note count. I could play it in 8th note count. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You got it there, Stacy? How about everybody else? Robert, you have this, an Old Dog, and Hoist. You have the syncopation book. So Stacy, what page are you on? What page is that on, Stacy? If you could tell me, that'll help everybody else. You got it? Stacy, yes. What page are you on, Stacy? In the syncopation. You have the third edition. So everybody who has the third edition to get there. 1E and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Page 24. Okay, that's what I'm on, page 24, so it didn't change too much. Well, all right, Scott, all I did was, for the people who are not certain of how the figure went, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the next measure has a line of triplets with accents being placed there as an exercise. So if they forget the exercise, just make the count of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just play. All right, the accent 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's foolproofing it. Now you can do it your way, Scott. It's not a problem. Are you on page 24, 24, 24? How about you, Dennis? Page 24? Jimmy, page 24? Hoist, page 24? Jimmy, page 24. All right, so Old Dog, Stacy, Robert, I need a few more people, like Dennis and Hoist. All right, you're on 24. Everybody's on 24. Now, I'm breaking this down very elementary. Okay, Jimmy's on it. I need it from Dennis now. Good for you, Mr. Green. How you doing? When you get on, man, come into the chat and say hello to everybody. Hoist is on it. Dennis. Okay. Now, there's a variety of ways to do this, to count it. But I'm going to count it very simple. We're going to use a 16th note count. What book are you on? Hoist, we're on the syncopation book, Ted Reed's book, not the formulas. The syncopation book. You're on page 24 of the formula book. We're on Ted Reed's book. So get that page out. Okay, the method of counting that we're going to use, and this is very elementary and it's very mathematical, and we're not humming. We're learning the mechanics and the mathematics of the notation. So the first thing we're going to do is count in 16th note formation. 1, E, and the, okay? Now, the first downbeat has 2 16ths and an eighth. 1, E, and the. And the remainder of the measure is straight eighth notes. So let me take again from the beginning. 1, E, and the, 2, E, and the, 3, E, and the, 4, E, and the. Now, that's very elementary. In the beginning, it's not a good idea to teach the student to count what's there. Like 1E and 2 and 3 and 4 and, yeah, it sounds better. Okay? But that's not the purpose of this. We're not performing. We're learning the math. Okay? Now, when you're on page 24, he repeats the measure 4 times, so you get a feel for it. Now, everybody here should be able to play from line 1 to line 12 on the drum pad, on the snare drum, without a mistake. Now, I always have this philosophy about, well, I don't know if you want to call it philosophy, but anyway, I always have this thing where I said, all right, you feeling good, you challenge yourself, I'm going to play the whole page. So you're playing, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get on to 6, second measure, you made a mistake. Time out chair. No, just kidding. Start it again. Because you know what? Psychologically, you're actually upset at yourself, which is good, okay? Because now you're going to start it all over again. And when you get to that measure that you made that mistake, you're going to make sure you don't make that mistake. So it increases your awareness. Okay? Now, there's no way, well, maybe on pages like this, I could send some PDF sheets to proofread it. And I don't know why most students get very confused, all right, with, for example, if I go to line 12 and then I go to the next page, line 13, you see how it reversed itself? The eighth note came first, then the 2/16. They get all confused, and I don't know why. It's mathematics. Again, line 1, page 24, 2/16 and an eighth. If you add that up into 16ths, that's equal to 4/16, which equals 1/4. 4 time. 4 beats to a measure. Each quarter note receives 1 count or 1 beat. Simple. So now, I'm going to play it real slow. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. Second measure. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. And I only played 2 measures. Now, I shouldn't do this, but, you know, it's boring. You know, if you know how to read this, you're revisiting it. If you don't know and you're uncertain about the reading, it's great for you because now you're sharpening your skills. Now, for the people who know how to read this, let's take this line and have a little fun with it. Okay? And when I say fun, don't, you guys that don't know how to read this well, start doing it right away. You have to pay your dues to 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Now when I say fun, this is what I mean. If I took the figure 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and, that's the figure, that's the first measure. He repeats it 4 times. So now if I want to make it linear, 1 E and 2 E, 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Get it, guys? Just a simple pattern, but you can move it around. Remember the rules that we're following to develop the linear concept is read the notation on the top. Hello, Paul. How are you? Hey, Paul, I'm really sorry about this afternoon. I guess this would be the last time I'm going to say it because everybody is here. I apologize for being so cranky. It wasn't that I was lack of sleep or tired. It's my fault, not your fault, that the delay gets me insane. And when I have 4 or 5 different questions and 4 or 5 different answers with the delay, I don't know where I'm at. So nothing directed to you, okay, Paul? I sincerely apologize. And the way you practice it is another way to practice it, which tells me, I don't know if you did it intentionally to be creative. Okay, well, that's good. All right, but I apologize. We're in a syncopation book, all right, Ted Reed's book. And I just did a whole lesson on how to proofread a couple of the pages in the formula book. So after the lesson, you should try to watch the beginning of the lesson, all right? Now, you guys see what I did with that linear thing? It improves, hold on. Oh, ninga-da-bonga. Do you guys see what I did with the linear thing? I mean, we're doing the linear concept one way as we're taking the line and playing it on top, and we're filling in the blanks with the bass drum. You can reverse that. Do we understand it, everyone? Ding dong ding. Mr. Green, do you understand it? Good, Robert, thank you. Mr. Green, did you understand it? Dennis, Mr. Mante, Mr. Valero, Old Dog, Stacy, Dennis. Dennis, were you a bad boy in school? All right, it's just a fun way to do it. You know, like I said this afternoon and a few times, you know, all the students that I've had in my lifetime, I don't know how many, over 1,000, that's for sure. All right, and you know, they come to me, oh, I did the syncopation book, and you know, they start with line 1, the first page, to the end of the book, and then their teacher just puts it away, and that's it. Well, that's not it. That's the beginning of an endless journey. Simple. You have to be creative. You have first, in order to be creative from the figures that are presented to you in, say, Ted Reed's book or my book, all right, you have to understand how to read it. That's essential. You know, that's what the problem is with most drummers today. You know, all these drummers on Facebook that I have the groups on, they don't care about learning. All they want to do with the attitude is to prove to everybody they can play and play better than anyone else, which in my opinion is totally ridiculous. That's not learning. And you ask them what they did to write it out. Oh yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, hello. Huh. Whatever. He did something similar when you say, have fun with the book, Mr. Green, or from the beginning to the end, and that's it? What are you referring to? Now, I can't promise anything. Mr. Green, are you on my mailing list? I believe you are because you bought the books. But anyway, email me anyway, okay? Let me put it in here. You email me, or maybe we get on Skype and hang out, okay? Not a problem. Paul, do you have Skype, correct, Paul? Dennis, do you have Skype? Mr. Mante, do you have Skype? I'm not going to ask you, Jimmy. Ha! You call me, I call you. Absolutely, Mr. Mante, of course. But see what you just did? You discovered a new way, but yet you read it. That's the importance of reading. Mr. Valero, are you on my mailing list, sir? Yeah, I know you should be, Mr. Green. Mr. Valero, are you on it? I know you have, Stacy. We'll talk. Well, see, that's not going to do me no good. Email me, please, Mr. Green. Email me so I could put you on the list. Now, I can't get this over to my mailing list until the lesson's over. Then the chat's gone. So email me, Dennis. I'll get to you. Hook up on. All right, wait a minute. Inga bonga. All right, guys, here. My Skype contact. Thank you. I don't know what that is, Paul, but for now, if we Skype, you could explain that to me, okay? My Skype contact is this. That's my Skype contact. Oh, no, Jesus. Hold on. Fat fingers I have. When you say, can you play it linear just with the bass drum? Is that the question there, Dennis? All right, let me explain it again. And if you played the bass just with the bass drum linear, all you're doing is a measure of 16th notes. What I said, you can reverse it. Okay, here's what you asked me. Can you play it just with the bass drum? All right. Here's the figure. It's 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. That's the figure. Now remember, we want a straight line of rhythm. We want a straight line of 16th notes. So I'm going to fill in where there isn't a 16th note, either with my hands or the bass drum. You just asked me, can you just play it with the bass drum? Yeah, you can, but all you're going to have is 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and that's all you're going to have. Now, if I play the top, which is my hands, okay, and I fill in the blanks, and what I mean by the blanks is make it a straight line of 16ths, I'm going to fill it in with the bass drum. 1E and 2, 3E and 4E and now that's taking the melody line or the figure with my hands. Now I could reverse it. I could play the figure with the bass drum and fill in with the snare drum. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and do you see that? No, I mean fill in with the bass drum. I don't know if that's the linear. You're filling in with the bass drum. That's the first downbeat. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and See, that's actually here. This is something that's similar, that was similar to this afternoon. When you ask a question, okay, well that's what we taught. See, what happens is this. Okay? When you present the question, if you don't present it correctly, I can't answer it. Or if I receive the question and I'm thinking it's one way, I'm going to answer you, that's not right. So try to be a little bit more specific when you ask a question. That's cute, Stacy. Paella is a dish. Patella in Latin is kneecap. All right. I want to give it a longer lesson tonight. But what I do expect, and everybody who has a camera, okay, should work on that page. Page 24. From line 1 to line 12, complete. Using a metronome and all full strokes on the drum pad or the snare drum. Send me a video. Email me a video, and if you're on Skype, you can send it to me on Skype. Okay? This is the end result of what I'd like to hear. I'm not going to play the whole page. I'm going to play the first line. I don't care how slow you play it. as long as it's correct. 1E and the 2E and the 3E and the 4E and the. Fear enough? Now, I'm assuming you guys were able to read well. That's why I got everybody to get the Mike Clark book. So I can see we're going to have to break everything down very, very slowly. And I have to ask permission from Mike. I'm going to contact him. I know that he had his first publication was Funk Drumming. I don't know if that's still available or not. If it's not available, I need to have his permission to take a few of his concepts, put them on PDF, and send them to you. How's that sound, guys? I wonder if Joe Shields is in here. I really like Joe. Joe's a nice guy. I talked to him through email yesterday. Jimmy, do you understand what we've done tonight? But reading, man, you got to strengthen the reading skills. The lessons, if you do, the lessons, that's my Skype contact. The lessons will go smoother. Not reading. There's so many different books for reading. Okay, Scott, the thing is, I talked about Mike Clark. He just put out a new publication. Okay, and I thought everybody was up to par with reading, so that's why we're going to work from that. But if you're not up to par with reading, to put your concept or inside of the book, I have to strengthen the weaknesses first before we go on to the book. This was Mike Clark's second publication. His first publication was called Funk Drumming. Like I said, I don't know if it's available or not. If it's not available, I'm going to get his permission, and he'll give it to me. But it's respectful for me to get his permission first to put a couple things on writing and send them to you in PDF forms. You are, Jimmy. How am I doing, Jim? Okay? I try to give you guys a serious lesson. And yeah, I have to be humorous once in a while. It's good to put a little bit of relaxation into the atmosphere. But I try not to be like everyone else who shows you how well I can play. That's not what we're about. Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, I know. The last time I talked to him was about 3 days ago. So I'm going to ask him if it would be okay. If he does have any publications, and they're very inexpensive, maybe you want to purchase them from Mike. It's a good book. I only have 2 copies of it. One for my use and one for my investment. It eventually becomes a icon. Okay, everybody? Now, I cannot promise, okay? I would like to send you guys something for tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I'm loaded up until like 12 o'clock and I'll be up at 4 o'clock. Anyway, if you don't get anything from me, we are going to continue to work from the syncopation book and the syncopation formula, okay? I'm going to try to find that other publication. I have them around. It's not a problem. And we're going to work out of those 2 books tomorrow, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Okay, are there any questions about what we did tonight? Hopefully we all have a better understanding, okay, of the reading. And you guys are going to send me a video of that page from line 1 to line 12. No mistakes. Full strokes, equal sound on the right, equal sound on the left. Okay, gentlemen, ladies, guys, any questions? Questiones? All right. Now, yeah, Mike Clark is a hell of a question. I mean, Mike Clark is a hell of a drummer. I bust his chops a lot. Him and I are good friends. All right. Yeah, okay, I will, Robert. I'll send you an email. All right. And anyway, Mike Clark and I are pretty good friends, and I bust his chops a whole lot. Of course there is. It's the linear concepts you're developing right now. Okay? All right. Mike Clark is doing, he's these guys that are playing 6, 7 nights a week in the city and they're playing all the time, all their gigs got canceled because of the virus thing. Okay? And, he has nothing but free time on his hands, so he's practicing a lot. And he's making a video, name that tune. So he's playing some shit with the jazz thing and all that. So I named the tune. I said, haha, Wipeout. Well, he rolled on the floor laughing so hard. Okay, but that's just a joke. We have a good time. One drummer I really, really want to go check out is Jeff Hamilton. I don't know if I didn't send that in the email. I'll try to send it to everybody. But man, Jeff Hamilton, excuse my expression, plays his ass off. Mercy, Lord be. And that's a good one for you, Dennis, when we talk about fills and lead-ins. Okay? If you listen to them closely, there's no fills. It's leading into some sort of melodic structure. So that would be actually good for you and everybody else. Yeah, Mike Clark, don't fool around with the musicians. Does everybody here know who Lenny White is? Well, Lenny White's another drummer who plays all the time in the city and all over the place. And he's on a few recordings. And he came to really being recognized when he did the thing with Chick Corea, Return to Forever. And Mike Clark was playing a gig in New York, and he invited me. You go play, you go pay, if it costs you $25, $30 to get in, and I get you one drink. Okay? Mike left my name at the door so I didn't have to pay for anything. But to my surprise, here I am going to go check out Mike Clark. Guess who else is playing? Lenny White. Now that has to be a jackpot. Okay. Who is this? Lenny, yeah. You know Lenny White. All right, everybody knows Lenny White. Jeff Hamilton is a swinging musician too. But Lenny White's a good drummer. He has a little bit of a strange setup. Okay, he has he's almost set up like a lefty, but he's playing righty. It's very strange to describe. But anyway, if ever you should happen to go see somebody like Lenny White, Mike Clark, or Jeff Hamilton, say, oh mercy, that's what it's all about. And now the guys who are coming here the end of next month are going to see what all this is all about, what I've been teaching. Now, cities and suburbs. When did you get here? You should have at least got into the chat and said hello or asked a few questions. Can you give me a little bit of information on you? Absolutely, Chick Corea is awesome. I mean, he's played with all of them. Steve Gadd, Dave Weckl, Vinnie Colaiuta, and Lenny White. And there's a lot of other drummers. But this Jeff Hamilton, he has me mesmerized. So, cities and suburbs. Good for you, Jim. See, a lot of guys, when they post, they don't look around. So I get a lot of the same post 4 or 5 times. And so I have to delete them. And I get in my chat box, how come you deleted my video? What can I tell you? Well, Jimmy, that's from the reeds in your mouth. Just kidding, Jimmy. All right. Are you going to play incognito, Mr. Cities and Suburbs? Can you give me a little bit of a background? And would you like to be on my mailing list? Or via Skype? Jimmy just put up my email. So if you email me, I will give you the time and location of all the lessons. And if you need some PDFs, I'll send them to you. All right, I think it was a pretty decent lesson compared to this afternoon. Okay. Kenny B. All right, I don't know. All right. Well, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will get notification of when I'm on the air. But it's best to email me, and I will put you on my mailing list. Okay, so with that being said, I'm on overtime. You're welcome, Stacy. So we're going to reading. Remember now, we're going to have the syncopation book tomorrow. Thank you, Robert. You're welcome. And the syncopation formulas. I don't think you're going to have to print out anything, Robert. But if you do, I will email you to tell you what you have to print out. I don't know when everybody's going to get their book because the mail has been slow. You know, probably the first stop is going to be Nova Scotia. So what is your name on my email? It's not Cities and Suburbs. What is your name? So I could understand. I could see who you are on the emailing list. That's what I need to know. You're welcome, Paul. It's hard for me to say, you're welcome, Dennis. Cities and Suburbs, I can't put that down. I don't know, you're Kenny, right? Kenny B. What is your last name? Kenny who? Or what is your email? Put your email out there. I don't want you to miss out on anything if you follow me for 2 years. Say hello once in a while. Come to it. Okay, all good, everybody? Again, I apologize. I'm a cranky, grumpy old man. I was just not in a bad mood. Okay, Mr. Old Dog. Now remember, when I come to Nova Scotia, you're going to buy me a drink. Okay? Okay, guys, ladies. Time for me to get a cigarette, another cup of coffee, water my lawn, have some dinner, and pass out. Huh. Okay, guys? No questions, right? Mr. Scott, if you're on my mailing list, if not, mail me and we'll talk. Everybody has my Skype contact. Ken, how are you? Oh, Mr. Bisson. I'm sorry. I know who you are. All right, good for everybody. Okay, guys, time for me to close down. Sorry, I wanted to give a longer lesson tonight, maybe tomorrow afternoon. I'm just really tired right now. Scott and everybody else, have a good night.